Would you believe your own parents asked you to disappear from their lives at Thanksgiving dinner? I'm Grace Wilson, 32, and what happened last Thanksgiving still makes people gasp when I tell them. For 7 years, I was my family's personal ATM, funding my unemployed brother's artistic journey while being called selfish and heartless. But when my parents made their announcement in front of 15 relatives, they had no idea I'd been documenting every single dollar. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. I read every comment. Let me take you back to that November evening when everything changed. For 7 years, I'd been writing checks with a smile while my brother David slept until noon. The pattern started right after college. David dropped out of art school, third semester, couldn't handle the pressure of assignments. Mom immediately turned to me. Grace, honey, your brother needs time to find himself. You understand, right? You've always been the strong one. Strong. That's what they called it when I worked 2 jobs to cover his student loans. Every month, like clockwork, $1,200 for David's loan payments, $800 for his studio apartment. Really just a basement where he stored guitars he never played. Another $500 for his art supplies that mysteriously turned into video game consoles. Meanwhile, I woke up at 5 a.m. for my engineering job, then drove Uber until midnight. David posted Instagram photos at 2 p.m. with captions like, "Artists don't follow society's schedule." Mom defended him religiously. Your brother sees the world differently, Grace. Not everyone can be a robot like you. Robot. That's what appreciating punctuality and responsibility made me. The family bought it completely. At every gathering, David was the sensitive soul exploring his creativity. I was the workaholic who chose money over family time. Funny how the money I chose always ended up in David's pocket. Here's what killed me most. I kept every receipt, every Venmo transaction, every text message where David promised this was just temporary. 7 years of temporary. The folder in my filing cabinet grew thicker while my savings account grew thinner. But I kept giving. Because that's what family does, right? We support each other. Except support only flowed one direction in the Wilson household. The real slap came when I saw the numbers in black and white. $15,000 for Dad's roof repair. We'll refinance and pay you back, sweetheart. Never happened. $8,000 for Dad's kidney stone surgery deductible. $3,000 for David's laptop for job hunting that became a limited edition guitar within a week. But here's the kicker. Last month, David posted photos from a music equipment expo showing off his new $3,000 amplifier. The caption? Blessed to have supportive parents who believe in my dreams. Supportive parents. With my money. At family dinners, the narrative was consistent. Aunt Sharon would gush, "David's so creative. Grace, you should learn from your brother about following passion instead of just chasing paychecks." Chasing paychecks, while those paychecks funded David's passion. Uncle Tom once pulled me aside. "You know, Grace, your brother mentioned you've been difficult about money lately. Family shouldn't keep score." This after David bought a motorcycle with money I'd given him for career coaching. The extended family saw me as the sister with a good job who was too stingy to help her struggling artist brother. They didn't see my empty refrigerator at month's end. They didn't know I'd canceled my health insurance to cover David's emergency recording studio rental. Mom's favorite line? Grace makes good money. She doesn't need recognition. But David needed both the money and the recognition, apparently. Every family photo on Facebook told the story. David, the golden child with his arm around Mom. Me, standing slightly apart, usually checking my phone, probably looking at another payment request. But I kept something they never knew about. Something that would matter later. If I stayed silent, the losses would compound beyond money. 3 months ago, Mom let something slip during coffee. Your father and I are meeting with an estate lawyer next week. We want to make sure everything's fair when we're gone. The way she said fair made my stomach drop. Fair how, Mom? Well, you've been so successful, Grace. David will need more support long term. Translation. They were planning to leave him everything. The isolation had already started. Family WhatsApp group? I'd notice plans being made, then receive last-minute invitations. Oh, we didn't think you'd want to come, you're always working. But David, unemployed for 3 years, never missed a gathering. My ex-boyfriend Marcus had seen it clearly. Your family's toxic, Grace, they're using you. I defended them then. You don't understand. David's struggling. Marcus left 6 months later. I can't watch you destroy yourself for people who don't even like you. Don't even like you. That hit harder than I admitted. My therapist had been documenting my anxiety and depression. Grace, you're showing signs of severe burnout. The financial stress combined with family manipulation is affecting your health. My blood pressure was up. I'd developed chronic insomnia. Stress headaches became my normal. But here's what scared me most. I was starting to believe their narrative. Maybe I was selfish. Maybe I was too focused on money. Maybe David deserved more because he was following his heart. Last week, Mom mentioned casually that Johnson's daughter just bought them a vacation home. Such a loving child. The comparison hung in the air like smoke. If I didn't act soon, I'd lose more than money. I'd lose my identity, my health, and any chance at my own life. The breaking point was building, but I'd been preparing. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I made a decision. Sitting in my car after another family dinner where I'd been called cold for suggesting David apply to Target, I pulled out my phone. I need to see you about something important, I texted someone. The response was immediate. Tuesday, 2 p.m.? That Tuesday changed everything, though my family wouldn't know for weeks. Meanwhile, David's requests escalated. Hey sis, there's this masterclass with a famous guitarist. Only $2,000. This could be my break. I stared at the text. His last break was a $1,500 online course he never finished. David, maybe get a part-time job first. Show you're serious? His response was a screenshot sent to our family group chat. Look how Grace responds when I try to invest in my future. Some people don't understand art. Mom immediately called. How dare you discourage your brother publicly? We raised you better than this. Mom, I've given him over. Given? Given? Family doesn't give, Grace. Family shares. Maybe if you weren't so obsessed with keeping track, you'd understand love. Keeping track. She had no idea how right she was. I opened my filing cabinet that night. 7 years of documentation, bank statements with highlighted transfers, text messages printed and dated, emails with subject lines like temporary loan, David Wilson, even a notarized document from 2 years ago that David signed when he needed $10,000 for his music production company. He'd signed it, witnessed, notarized. I ran my fingers over the folder, thick with evidence. Then I picked up a business card from my desk drawer, reading the embossed letters one more time. Everything was in place. I just needed the right moment. Thanksgiving morning started with an explosion. I was helping Mom prep vegetables when I mentioned casually, maybe David could help with dinner since he's not working today. The knife slammed down. What did you just say? I just thought since it's been 3 years. How dare you? Mom's voice cracked through the kitchen. On Thanksgiving? You're judging your brother on Thanksgiving? Dad appeared in the doorway. What's happening? Grace is attacking David again, today of all days. David slouched in, still in pajamas at 11 a.m. What's wrong now? Your sister thinks you should get a job. Mom spat the words like poison. David's face twisted into practiced hurt. Not everyone can be a robot like you, Grace. Some of us have souls. I'm not saying, get out! Mom pointed at the door. Get out of my kitchen! Mom, I'm trying to help. Help? You call this help? You've done nothing but criticize David since you got here. Dad stepped forward. Grace, maybe you should take a walk. I've paid for... Paid? Mom's voice hit a pitch I'd never heard. Is that all we are to you? Transactions? David pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. I'm telling everyone what you're really like. Everyone? The whole family's coming. They should know who you really are. I watched him type. Grace is ruining Thanksgiving already, attacking me for being an artist. Some people only value money. My phone buzzed immediately. Aunt Sharon. Be nice to your brother. Cousin Mike. It's Thanksgiving, Grace. Chill. Mom smiled coldly. Maybe now people will see what we've been dealing with. What they've been dealing with. After everything I'd done. You know what? Maybe they should. Maybe. By 2 p.m., 15 relatives had assembled, and Mom wasted no time. Everyone, before we eat, I need to share something. She stood at the head of the dining table, voice trembling with practiced emotion. Grace has been attacking David all morning, on Thanksgiving. The room shifted. 15 pairs of eyes turned to me. Aunt Sharon gasped. Grace! Family supports family. She told him to get a job, Mom continued, like he's some kind of failure. I never said failure. She thinks money is everything, David interrupted, eyes glistening. I've tried so hard to make her proud, but nothing's ever enough. Cousin Mike shook his head. Money isn't everything, Grace. You should know that. Some of us value love over dollars, Uncle Tom added. I tried to explain. I just suggested a part-time. See? Mom's voice rose. She can't stop. Even now in front of everyone, she's criticizing him. Grandma sat quietly in the corner, watching. David is an artist, Aunt Sharon declared. Not everyone fits into corporate boxes. I've supported. Supported? Mom laughed bitterly. Is that what you call your constant judgment? Your emotional manipulation? Emotional manipulation? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Making David feel worthless because he doesn't have a traditional job, Dad added, finally speaking up. We raised you better. The room hummed with agreement. Cousins whispered. Aunts shook their heads. Grace thinks she's better than everyone because she has money, Mom announced to the room. She's forgotten what family means. David wiped away a tear that I swear wasn't there. I just want her to love me for who I am. The room collectively awed. Then Mom said something that changed everything. If you've ever felt like the family ATM, hit that subscribe button. I see you, and your feelings are valid. Drop a comment. Have you ever been the responsible one who got punished for it? Let's build a community of people who understand. I'm reading every single comment, and honestly, your stories give me strength. Some of you have been through worse, and you survived. We're not alone in this. Now, back to that dining room where everything was about to explode. 6 months earlier, I'd made a crucial appointment. James Mitchell's law office was pristine, professional. Everything my family situation wasn't. I'd brought 2 banker's boxes of documentation. Miss Wilson, you've been very thorough, he said, examining the papers. These Venmo descriptions all say loan? Every single one. I started doing that 3 years ago. He pulled out a text thread. Your brother acknowledges the debt multiple times here. He always promised to pay back when his music took off. And this? He held up a notarized document. 2 years ago, David needed $10,000 for a music production company. I insisted on documentation. James nodded slowly. This is legally binding. He signed it. It's witnessed and notarized. My parents co-signed as guarantors. I pointed to the signatures. They said it was silly, but they signed. Smart move. He organized the papers methodically. Every bank transfer, every check, every electronic payment. You've documented everything as loans, not gifts. Is it enough? More than enough. These aren't gifts, Miss Wilson. These are documented loans with acknowledgement of debt. The total is $127,000 over 7 years, $89,000 to David directly, $38,000 to my parents for various expenses they promised to repay. He leaned back. We can file for recovery any time. The documentation is impeccable. I don't want to unless what? Unless they force my hand. This is my nuclear option. James handed me his business card. Keep this with you. Call me if you need to execute. I can file papers within hours. I slipped the card into my purse, where it lived for 6 months, waiting. Now, sitting at that Thanksgiving table, I felt its edges through the leather. The evidence went deeper than they could imagine. My phone held screenshots spanning years. David's greatest hits included, "I know I owe you a lot, but this guitar will help me earn it back." "Grace, you're the only one who believes in me. I'll repay every penny. Can you spot me 5K? I promise this is the last time." The last time was never the last time. My parents' texts were equally damning. "Mom, can you cover David's rent? We'll pay you back from the tax refund." "Dad, son needs $2,000 for equipment. We're good for it." They were never good for it. But the crown jewel sat in my filing cabinet at home, the notarized loan agreement from 2 years ago. David had needed $10,000 for his music production company. Really just a bedroom studio that produced exactly 0 albums. "This is stupid," he'd said, signing it. "Family doesn't need contracts." "Humor me," I'd replied. Mom had laughed. "So formal, Grace, but if it makes you feel better." She'd signed as guarantor without reading it. Dad signed too. "Happy now?" The notary stamped it officially, legal, binding, enforceable. They'd forgotten about it within a week. I'd filed it carefully in a folder marked David Loans, Legal Documentation. That folder now contained 47 bank transfer receipts, 23 canceled checks, 186 Venmo transactions marked loan, 94 text message screenshots, 12 email threads, 1 notarized contract, each piece cross-referenced, dated, organized chronologically. My family called me obsessive about money. They had no idea I'd been building a legal case for 7 years. The business card in my purse seemed to pulse with possibility. Mom stood up, commanding the room's attention like a prosecutor delivering closing arguments. "I have something to say to everyone here." Her voice carried perfectly across the dining room. "Grace thinks we're not good enough for her." 15 relatives leaned in. "She questions our parenting. She judges our choices. She thinks because she has a job, she's better than her own brother." David dropped his head into his hands. "I try so hard." "We know, sweetheart," Aunt Sharon cooed. Mom's voice grew stronger. "She comes here, to our Thanksgiving table, and tells us how to live our lives. Tells David he's not enough. Tells us we're failures as parents." "I never said—" "You didn't have to." Mom's eyes blazed. "Every look, every sigh, every suggestion, we know what you think of us." The room was electric with judgment. Cousins whispered, uncles frowned. "David is an artist," Mom continued. "He sees beauty where Grace sees dollar signs. He creates while she counts, and she hates him for it." David made a sound that might have been a sob. "I just wanted a sister who loved me." "We all see who you really are, Grace," Mom announced. "A heartless woman who values money over family." Uncle Tom nodded. "Family disappointment." Cousin Mike added, "Some people forget where they came from." Then Mom delivered the killing blow, her words cutting through the room like a blade. "The best gift would be if you disappeared from our family." Silence. Even Dad looked shocked. Grandma shifted in her chair. "Margaret, that's—" "I said what I said." Mom sat down triumphantly. "Some truths need to be spoken." 15 people stared at me, waiting. I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the floor. "You want me gone?" My voice was steady, calm. "You really want that?" "You heard your mother," Dad said quietly. Uncle Tom added, "Maybe it's for the best." "A family disappointment," Aunt Sharon agreed. I looked around the table, 15 faces ranging from smug to uncomfortable. Only Grandma watched me with something like concern. "Okay." I picked up my purse. "If that's what you want, I'll give you exactly that." Mom's smile was triumphant. Finally, some peace. I pulled out my phone, maintaining eye contact with her. You want me gone? Consider it done. Drama queen, David muttered. Can't even leave without making a scene. I scrolled to a contact, my finger hovering over the call button. The business card in my purse seemed to burn against my palm. What are you doing? Dad asked. Giving you what you asked for. I pressed call, putting it on speaker briefly so they could hear it ring, then took it off speaker and walked toward the hallway. Who is she calling? Aunt Sharon whispered. I paused at the doorway, phone to my ear. Someone had answered. Execute the plan, I said clearly. Yes, all of it, the full amount. Mom laughed. What plan? What are you talking about? I listened to the response, then continued. Yes, tonight. They're all here. Perfect timing. Grace, stop being dramatic, Dad called out. Dramatic? I turned back to face them. No, I'm being exactly what you said. Gone. But first, you'll get my final gift. We don't want anything from you, Mom spat. Too late. It's already on its way. I walked out, their voices following me down the hall. From the hallway, I could hear them perfectly. What's she doing? Aunt Sharon asked. Being dramatic, as usual, Mom dismissed. Let her go. I spoke clearly into the phone. James? It's Grace Wilson. Execute the contingency plan. Yes, tonight. His professional voice responded. Are you certain? On Thanksgiving? They just told me to disappear from the family in front of 15 witnesses. I see. I can be there within the hour. They're all here, all the relatives. Perfect. The documents are ready, full amount? Everything, $127,000. Every documented loan. Through the doorway, I heard David laugh. She's pretending to call someone important, so pathetic. Grace always has to be the center of attention, Mom agreed. Bring the notarized agreement, I continued to James, the one from 2 years ago. With your parents' signatures as guarantors? Exactly. I'll bring my associate, she's a notary. Perfect, they're about to have dessert. I ended the call and walked back to the dining room doorway. 15 faces turned to me. I'm leaving now, I announced. Enjoy your dinner. Mom smirked. Finally, we can have a peaceful meal. Oh, one more thing. I pulled on my coat. In exactly 1 hour, you'll understand everything. Understand what? Dad asked, but I could see the first flicker of uncertainty. You said the best gift would be my disappearance, but the gift I'm leaving is even better. We don't want anything from you, David called out. It's not something you want, it's something you owe. I walked out, leaving them to their confusion. Behind me, I heard Grandma say quietly, You've made a mistake, Margaret. But they were too busy celebrating my absence to listen. Exactly 1 hour later, the doorbell rang. I wasn't there, but Cousin Mike recorded everything on his phone. I watched it later, every beautiful second. James Mitchell stood at the door in a full suit, briefcase in hand. His associate, equally professional, stood beside him. Good evening. I'm looking for Robert and Margaret Wilson. Dad answered, pie plate still in hand. Yes? Who are you? James Mitchell, attorney at law. I represent Grace Wilson. The dining room went silent. Mom appeared in the doorway. Grace isn't here. She left. I'm aware. I'm here regarding outstanding debts owed to my client. Debts? Mom laughed nervously. What debts? James pulled out a thick manila folder. May I come in? This involves Mr. David Wilson as well. David's voice carried from inside. What's this about? $127,000 in documented loans, Mr. Wilson. The silence was deafening. James continued professionally. Given the number of witnesses present, this seems an appropriate time to discuss repayment. Mom's voice cracked. This is Thanksgiving dinner. Yes, ma'am. Your daughter mentioned you'd have family present. Witnesses are helpful in these matters. They had no choice but to let him in. James walked to the dining table like he owned the place, his associate following with a second briefcase. What is this? Uncle Tom demanded. James placed his briefcase on the table, right between the pumpkin pie and cranberry sauce. Business, sir. Financial business that requires immediate attention. He opened the briefcase with a satisfying click. Inside, organized in labeled folders, was 7 years of my life. Shall we begin? 15 relatives leaned forward. Grandma smiled slightly. Mom sank into her chair. This can't be real. James spread the documents across the dining table like a dealer showing cards. Bank statements, 2017 through 2024. Yellow highlighted lines covered the pages. Each transfer marked loan to David Wilson or loan to parents. David grabbed one. These say loan, but your text messages, Mr. Wilson. James produced a bound printout. Page 12. I promise I'll pay you back every penny. Page 34. I know I owe you a lot. Page 56. This is just a loan until my music takes off. Mom reached for the papers with shaking hands. She said she wanted to help. Help, yes. Gift, no. James pulled out the crown jewel. This is a notarized loan agreement from March 2022. $10,000 borrowed by David Wilson for a music production company. I don't remember. Your signature, Mr. Wilson, James pointed. Your parents signed as guarantors. See? Margaret Wilson, Robert Wilson, notarized by Jennifer Clark, State of Connecticut. Aunt Sharon picked up the document. This is real. Very real. And legally binding. James continued methodically. Venmo transactions. Another stack. Every description reads loan. 186 transactions totaling $47,000. Canceled checks. More papers. $23,000 over 7 years. Email confirmations. A thick folder. Your parents requesting money, promising repayment. The relatives were reading everything, passing documents around. Cousin Mike whistled low. This is all legitimate. David owes $89,000, James summarized. Mr. and Mrs. Wilson owe $38,000? We don't have that kind of money, Dad protested. Your son wrote here, James showed another text, that he could sell his music equipment if needed. Estimated value, $15,000. David went pale. My guitars? Your debt, Mr. Wilson. Grandma spoke up. I taught Grace to keep receipts. Seems she learned well. The room erupted as relatives studied the evidence. This is real? Aunt Sharon held up the notarized agreement. You actually owe her this much? She said it was to help family, Mom protested. James pulled out David's text messages. Mr. Wilson, you wrote here. I promise this is a loan, not a gift. I'll pay back every cent when I make it big. Uncle Tom was reading bank statements. Every transfer says loan, every single one. She tricked us, David shouted. Tricked? James raised an eyebrow. You texted her 17 times with variations of, I promise to repay. Shall I read them all? He began. November 2019. I'll pay you back, I swear. February 2020. This is just a loan until I get established. June 2021. You know I'm good for it. Stop, David begged. Cousin Mike held up his phone, still recording. So you've been taking her money for 7 years while calling her heartless? It's not like that. It's exactly like that, Grandma interrupted. You've been bleeding her dry while she worked 2 jobs. Mom's face was crimson. Mother, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You told her to disappear after taking $127,000 from her. James pulled out one final document. This is particularly interesting. Mrs. Wilson, you texted Grace last month. Can you cover David's rent again? We're good for it, as always. You meant you'd pay her back. That's what good for it means legally. The relatives were murmuring. Aunt Sharon shook her head. You called her heartless. She's been supporting you for 7 years. The heartless one, Uncle Tom said slowly, was keeping receipts. Grandma smiled. The smart one was keeping receipts. Are you feeling that justice? If you've ever wanted to see someone get their receipts literally checked, smash that like button. I need to know, what would you have done in my shoes? Comment below with your own family money stories. Some of you have been sharing incredible experiences in the comments. The one about the sister who documented her brother's gambling debt? Chef's kiss. We see you, we support you. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories about setting boundaries that stick. Now, let's see how they handled this revelation. James pulled out payment plan documents, already prepared. Miss Wilson prefers to avoid court proceedings, he announced. She's offering payment plans. Court? Dad's voice cracked. The alternative to voluntary repayment. With interest, the court judgment would exceed $145,000. Mom gasped. You can't be serious. Dead serious. However, the payment plans are generous. Mr. David Wilson, $2,000 monthly for 45 months. Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, $1,000 monthly for 38 months. I don't have a job, David protested. Then you'll need to get one, James said simply. Or we proceed to court where assets can be seized. Assets? David looked panicked. Your music equipment alone is valued at approximately $15,000. Your motorcycle, another $8,000. How do you know about social media, Mr. Wilson? You've documented your purchases extensively. James turned to the parents. Your boat, the one you bought last year, listed value $22,000. That's our retirement, that you bought while owing my client $38,000. Uncle Tom whistled. They have a boat? Had, James corrected, if this goes to court. The associate spoke up. I should mention, wage garnishment is also an option. Mr. Wilson, any future employment would have payments automatically deducted. This is extortion, Mom cried. This is debt collection, Mrs. Wilson. Legal, documented debt collection. James placed 3 copies of payment agreements on the table. Option 1. Sign these tonight, begin payments December 1st. Option 2. Court filing Monday morning. Monday? But that's 3 days away. Yes. The room was silent except for the scratch of Cousin Mike's continued recording. I should note, James added, court proceedings are public record. Everyone would know. David looked at his parents desperately. Do something! But what could they do? The evidence was overwhelming. The family scrambled like roaches when lights turn on. We don't have that kind of money, Dad repeated desperately. Then sell something, James suggested calmly. The boat, the motorcycle, the guitars. David clutched his chest. My guitars are my livelihood. What livelihood? Cousin Mike asked. You haven't worked in 3 years. I'm an artist. You're unemployed, James corrected, with an expensive hobby funded by your sister. Mom turned to the relatives. Someone help us. Aunt Sharon backed away. I'm not getting involved in this. Uncle Tom shook his head. You made your bed. But we're family, Mom pleaded. So was Grace, Grandma said quietly, until an hour ago when you told her to disappear. James checked his watch. I need decisions. Sign the payment plans or see you in court. This is happening too fast, Dad protested. 7 years wasn't fast enough for you to pay her back? David grabbed the papers, reading frantically. $2,000 a month? That's impossible. Target is hiring, James suggested. So is Walmart, McDonald's. With 2 jobs, very possible. 2 jobs? Your sister worked 2 jobs to fund your lifestyle. Seems fair. Mom looked at her jewelry, unconsciously touching her anniversary ring. If we sell things, the payment amount remains the same. Selling assets just gives you a cushion. What about bankruptcy? David asked desperately. James smiled. Student loans and loans from family members are rarely dischargeable in bankruptcy. Nice try. The associate added, also, bankruptcy is public record. Your credit would be destroyed for 7 years. My credit's already bad, David mumbled. Then you have nothing to lose by signing. The room waited. 15 relatives watching, Grandma nodding slowly. First payment December 1st, James reminded them. 5 days away. One by one they signed. Dad went first, his hand shaking. This is wrong. What's wrong is taking $38,000 and never paying it back, James responded. Mom signed next, tears streaming. She's destroying our family. You did that yourself an hour ago, Grandma observed. David held out the longest. I'm not signing. Then I'll see you in court Monday, James said, packing up his briefcase. Wait! David grabbed the pen. This is coercion. This is consequence, James corrected. David signed with angry slashes. The associate immediately notarized all 3 agreements. Excellent. James made copies. Everyone gets one. I suggest you frame them. Get out, Mom hissed. One moment. James pulled out his phone. Miss Wilson, they've signed. Yes, all 3. December 1st. He listened, then announced. She wants you to know the payments go directly to her student loans, the ones she took out while funding David's non-existent education. She has student loans? Dad asked, shocked. $67,000 worth. Did you think engineering school was free? But she never said. She was too busy paying for David's life to mention her own struggles. James packed efficiently. December 1st. Don't be late. Late payments trigger court proceedings immediately. This is Thanksgiving, Mom said brokenly. She ruined Thanksgiving. No, Grandma stood up. You ruined Thanksgiving when you told your daughter to disappear. She just gave you what you asked for, her absence, with interest. The lawyer and his associate left. The room sat in stunned silence. Cousin Mike finally spoke. I recorded everything. Grace should see how this went down. Don't you dare, Mom started. Too late, already sent. The family began dispersing, no one touching the dessert. The aftermath was immediate and brutal. Relatives couldn't leave fast enough. Aunt Sharon, who'd been so supportive of David, barely said goodbye. I can't believe you've been stealing from her. It wasn't stealing, Mom protested. What else do you call taking $127,000 with no intention of repaying? Uncle Tom shook his head at the door. Grace was right about everything. You took her side? Dad asked, incredulous. There are no sides, there are facts, and the facts are damning. One by one they filed out. Cousin Mike stopped at David. You cried about being judged while owing her $89,000? You're pathetic. You don't understand art. I understand con artists. That's what you are. The family WhatsApp group exploded within minutes. I watched it all unfold from my apartment. Aunt Sharon changed the group admin. Grace, if you're reading this, we're sorry. Uncle Tom, can't believe we fell for their act. Cousin Lisa, David's been posting about his struggles while Grace paid for everything? Disgusting. Grandma's message was simple. I'm proud of you, Grace. Your grandfather would be too. Mom tried damage control. You don't know the whole story. Cousin Mike posted the video. Here's the whole story, every second recorded. The group went silent after that. Then came the individual messages to me. We had no idea. Should have seen it. You did the right thing. They got what they deserved. But the best message came from Grandma. I've removed them from my will. Everything goes to you now. People who appreciate money understand its value. By midnight, David posted on Facebook about getting a fresh start and new beginnings, no mention of why. David's transformation was swift and humiliating. Within 3 days, he'd applied to 14 jobs. I know because Cousin Mike worked at Target and texted me screenshots of David's application. Your brother just applied to be a seasonal cashier, listed freelance artist as his only experience for 3 years. By day 10, David had 2 jobs. Target during the day, Uber Eats at night. His Facebook went from artistic sunset photos to exhausted selfies in his Target uniform. Excited to join the Target team, he posted, comments turned off. His artist friends were confused. What happened to your music, bro? David never responded. Mom and Dad's garage sale happened 2 weeks later. The boat went first, bought by their neighbor for $18,000, well below value. Quick sale, Mom told everyone. Downsizing. Dad sold his golf clubs, the riding mower, his watch collection. Mom parted with jewelry, her designer purses, anything valuable. Aunt Sharon texted me. Your mom just sold her anniversary ring at the pawn shop. Said they were simplifying. The best part? David's music equipment liquidation. He posted each piece on Facebook Marketplace with descriptions like, beloved guitar, need gone ASAP. His musician friends were shocked. Dude, that's your baby. Why are you selling? Life changes, was all he'd say. The $3,000 amplifier he'd bought with my money? Sold for $2,200. The guitar collection? Gone for $8,000 total. The recording equipment? Practically given away. By December 1st, they made their first payments. James confirmed via email. All 3 payments received on time. David's Instagram bio changed from artist, musician, dreamer to just working. The man who was too artistic for regular work now wore a name tag that said, David, happy to help. Karma, served ice cold. 3 months in, the payments kept coming like clockwork. James sent me monthly confirmations. February payment received. March payment received. Never late, never short. Mom texted once in January. Grace, can we talk? This is destroying us. I replied, you destroyed us on Thanksgiving. This is just business. She never texted again. David blocked me on everything. Facebook, Instagram, phone. But Cousin Mike kept me updated. Your brother just picked up a 3rd job, weekend warehouse work. He looks exhausted. Good. Someone asked him about his music at Target. He just walked away. The extended family shifted completely. I was invited to every gathering. They were not. Aunt Sharon called. Easter dinner? You're welcome. They're not. 4th of July barbecue? We'd love to see you. Just you. Even family friends picked sides. Mrs. Patterson, Mom's best friend of 20 years, ran into me at the store. Grace, honey, I heard everything. Your mother should be ashamed. It's in the past. No, it's in monthly payments for the next 4 years. The most surprising support came from David's ex-girlfriend, who messaged me. I always wondered how he afforded everything without working. Now I know. You're my hero. 2 cousins reached out about my lawyer's information. My brother owes me $30,000. My parents took my college fund for their business. I gave them James's number. He later told me he'd taken 3 new cases from my family alone. You've started something, he said. Families are realizing they can enforce boundaries legally. By month 6, I'd received $18,000 back. Every penny went to my student loans. The woman who was heartless about money was finally getting her money back, with interest paid in humiliation. I built a new life without them, and it was beautiful. Thanksgiving 2024 was spent with my chosen family, friends who'd watched the whole saga unfold. We toasted with champagne when the clock struck the 1-year anniversary of my freedom. To Grace, my best friend Sarah raised her glass, who proved that keeping receipts is a love language. My bank account grew for the first time in 7 years. No more emergency withdrawals for David's opportunities. No more raids for parents' temporary needs. I started therapy, really started, not just crisis sessions. Dr. Martinez helped me understand the manipulation patterns. They trained you from childhood to be their provider. You broke a generational cycle. It doesn't feel heroic, it feels sad. Both can be true. The workshop started accidentally. I told my story at a financial literacy meeting, and afterward, 5 people asked for private consultations. How do I document loans? What's legally binding? Can you help me set boundaries? Boundaries aren't walls became my workshop title. 50 attendees at the first one, then 100. Then I was booking conference rooms. I taught people. Document everything. Loan, not help in every transaction. Get it notarized if it's over $5,000. Family isn't licensed to exploit. Your money, your rules. My favorite slide. The ATM is closed. with a photo of a smashed machine. The irony wasn't lost on me. Mom always said I chose money over family. Now I was making money teaching others how to choose themselves over toxic family. My apartment became a sanctuary. No guilt trips, no manipulation, no emergency calls for cash, just peace, and $2,000 arriving monthly like clockwork, proof that boundaries, properly set, hold firm. The lessons I learned could fill a book, and maybe they will. Document everything, always. That folder in my filing cabinet wasn't paranoia, it was preparation. Every loan text, every temporary request, every pay-you-back promise. Document it like your sanity depends on it. Because it does. Write loan on every transaction. Not help, not gift, not family support. Loan. 3 letters that change everything legally. Family isn't a license to exploit. Blood relation doesn't mean bloodletting. You're not required to fund anyone's life regardless of DNA. Your money, your rules. The moment you earn it, it's yours. Not theirs. Not ours. Yours. And you decide its purpose. It's okay to be the villain in their story. They painted me as heartless while taking $127,000. Let them. Their opinion costs you nothing. Their debt costs them everything. Real family respects boundaries. Grandma understood. She saw me keeping receipts and smiled. She knew I was protecting myself. That's love. The biggest revelation? They only valued what I provided, never who I was. Once the ATM closed, I ceased to exist to them. That told me everything. People ask if I regret it. Never. I regret the 7 years I spent funding their dysfunction. I regret every dollar that delayed my own dreams. I regret believing that sacrifice equaled love. But that Thanksgiving, when I walked out with my head high and my lawyer on speed dial, that was the first day of my actual life. The ATM is permanently out of service, no maintenance scheduled, no repairs planned, and business has never been better. 1 year later, the numbers tell the whole story. $45,000 repaid so far, every payment on time. David's never missed one, probably because James sends reminder texts 48 hours before due dates with court filing in the subject line. David now works 65 hours a week across 3 jobs. The artist who needed space to create barely has space to breathe. Someone saw him sleeping in his car between shifts at Target. Mom and Dad downsized to a 1-bedroom apartment. The house they'd refinanced twice, once with my help, is gone. Their new place is walking distance to Dad's job. He's 60 and walks to work now because they sold both cars for cheaper models. I bought my dream condo last month. 2 bedrooms, home office, a view of the water. The closing date? November 28th, 2024. Thanksgiving Day. The universe has a sense of humor. Mom sent a friend request on Facebook last week. I hit decline so fast I nearly cracked my phone screen. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. They're meant to stay burned, lighting the way forward. The best gift I gave them wasn't my disappearance, it was accountability. For the first time in David's 30 years, he's experiencing consequences. For the first time in my parents' marriage, they can't use their daughter as a bank. They wanted me gone? They got their wish. But gifts, real gifts, come with receipts. And I kept every single one. The Wilson family ATM is permanently closed. The woman who ran it? She's living her best life, one boundary at a time. The best gift I ever gave myself was walking away. The best gift I gave them was the bill. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. Setting boundaries with family is the hardest thing you'll ever do, and the most necessary. What boundaries do you need to set? Drop a comment below. This is a safe space for all of us who've been the family ATM. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share this video with them. Sometimes one story can change everything. Subscribe and hit the bell. I share stories about standing up for yourself every week. Remember, you're not the family ATM. You're a person who deserves respect. Until next time, keep those boundaries strong and those receipts stronger.